Hello and welcome. This is Eagle Eye 621, and today we're going to be talking about manual cobblestone and stone generators. Now, if you want to go big and you want to go automated, I have you covered there too. There'll be a link in the iCard and the description to my stone swirl that makes 171,000 plus cobblestone per hour. As far as I know, the fastest in Minecraft right now. But sometimes you want to go a little bit smaller. It's early game. You may not be allowed to have such large contraptions in your world or on your server. So let's talk about how to set up some manual cobblestone generators. And let's start right over here on the left with the first thing that you're likely to have come across or built in your world. This is about as simple as it gets. You have a water source with a block underneath so that the water can flow in. Then you have your lava source over there, and you just stand and you mine away, and the cobblestone is generated as the lava moves back into contact with the water, and you get your cobblestone. And of course, this is expandable as far as the player can reach, which means you can go out to 5 blocks. So, same idea. You have your water sources on this side, you have your lava on this side, and then you have a little gap here for the water to flow into. If you don't have this gap, the water will flow to make contact with the lava and create obsidian, ruining your device. And you stand here and you click away and you continue to mine. However, there is already a problem with this setup, as you can see as my character is punching, and that is that you don't make it to the end if you don't go fast enough. So you can see we have the haste 2 effect from these beacons here, and we have some enchanted pickaxes with efficiency 5. Now if you're playing in survival, you also want unbreaking 3 to make sure these last longer. You want to have mending on that as well so you can fix it when it's done. A little bit of food here. And if we come back over here and we switch our game over to survival mode, then we can see that we will mine and we don't quite make it to the end. So how do we fix this? And the way that we fix this is to change up how the lava and the water interact with a setup like this over here, and that moves the lava on top with the water still on the side. And when the lava hits the water from above, it creates stone instead of cobblestone. Now, cobblestone has a hardness of 2 versus stone having a hardness of 1.5. And that means something very special happens when you grab yourself an efficiency 5 pickaxe with a haste 2 beacon, and that is Insta-Mine. And you can actually mine faster in survival than you can in creative. So you'll see we blow through all 5 just like that. And then you can stand here and you can mine all of the cobble you want. And if you put Silk Touch on this instead, you will end up with the stone itself, not cobblestone. But we can go bigger. So this is a good, simple setup. It does have some loss issue that I'll get into a little bit more. You also take note of this sign here to make sure the water doesn't come out and flush your character off if you're going to go AFK for a while. And we can mirror the setup over here. And we have the water on one side and the other with the lava up top. And now you have 2 different sources of stone that you can go back and forth between. So again, switching back into survival, instead of just standing here and waiting for the stone to come back, you can go back and forth and double your speed. Now this is not AFK if you're not using any sort of redstone or anything to move your player back and forth. You have to do this yourself. But again, you do double the speed than from before if you need it in a hurry, and you're not going to just AFK out there. One of the issues you're going to have with AFKing is at some point your pickaxe is going to break because it only has so much durability. And if you can have some setups where you get automatic XP to your character so that you mend while you mine, but those are generally more complicated than just building something like the Stone Swirl to manage this all by yourself, so you don't have to have any player interaction at all. So now, if you want to take this and expand it further, then you could think that we have something like this, where we have the water spread out further and the lava still on top. Now we do have to make a little switch from the signs blocking the water to these iron gates up here, and that's because we don't want to have the signs all the way across or we might interact with them. And if you'll notice, based on how fast the water spreads, the water does spread fast enough in order to get underneath the lava before the lava falls. And the lava will move 30 ticks, about a second and a half. Now, this actually is going to fail when we try this with our character, and you'll see what I mean in a second. Now, in that other setup, you saw that we had some lag spikes on occasion, and some of the stone got replaced with cobblestone. Your character still has plenty of time to manually mine that out with the rest of the stone around it before it causes any issues. But something is going to happen when we try that here. And as we blast here, you see it doesn't look like there's any problems when we hold down. But as we start to pivot to the right and continue to blast all the stone, you will see as we come back, we have lava in our face. There is some cobblestone in between the lava, all kinds of problems. This has completely broken. And the reason that it broke is because based on the timing of when you're breaking the stone, when the water's flowing and when the lava's coming down, the water does not make it all the way across. You end up, as you can see under here, with a lot of lava in the middle, cobblestone as the lava and water hitting from the sides as opposed to from the top, and this is completely broken and does not work. But there is a solution to that, and that is to change the position of the water. So in this, we are coming in from the sides. However, if we switch that up a little bit, and we have the water coming from the front and the back, we do not run into that same issue. Now, you are going to sacrifice a little bit in terms of how much stone you have per row or column, depending on your orientation. Here we have 5, because your player can reach to the 5th when it's standing facing in there. But because we need a water source in front of you, you can only have 4 stone per. And that doesn't change because your character can't reach to the 6th block, so whether or not you even need this as water, it's just extra protection from lag spikes and from other issues, and you can go back and forth, and this won't break. So, as you'll see when I switch back to survival, again, you can see no issue standing still, and now when we pivot, you'll see all the stone behaves very nicely and doesn't cause any issues, and we can pivot back, and we can even move back while it's still being generated. And every so often, as I said, you might hit some sort of an issue with a lag spike or the generation and your timings are off, and if you want to, you can fix it by just standing there and mining away the 1 or 2 blocks worth of cobble, or just keep going back and forth and not worry about it all that much, because you're still going to blast through the stone pretty fast, and you may hit a cobble and fix it on the way as well. And this is about as fast as you're going to be able to do in a completely manual cobblestone generator. Now, I'll show you how to build this setup here, and that's on the other side. So there's no specific block amounts because it's highly variable based on how big across you want it, but each slice is essentially the same. This stone right here is your floor. If you're building this on the ground in your world, you don't need it. You're going to need a row of glass blocks in front of you. These don't have to be glass, they can be whatever you want them to be. I just made them glass so it's easier to see. You're going to want 4 hoppers. This is very iron expensive depending on how big you want to make it, but there really is no way around that, because with something like this, as you clear the stone, the water doesn't have enough time to push the items away before new stone is generated, and you will lose most of your stone. There is still some loss from the setup, which you will see in a minute. You also want to make sure that your hoppers are oriented. In this particular example, I just made it very basic and very simple, where all of them are pointed towards this end to then get pointed over here into a chest. In your world, you're going to want to probably set it up a little differently, and again, I'll show you over there, where it all feeds into the center as opposed to feeding into one hopper, because you can back up the items as you do clear stone very quickly. Next layer up, you're going to want to have some room for your water and for your lava. So on the sides, you want 2 blocks up. And again, this does not have to be glass. The glass does look a little bit nicer, but it can be any solid block that you want. You're going to want to leave an extra air gap in the middle, and this is for where your water sources are going to go. And then you want another solid block on top of those water sources to make sure the lava doesn't flow over it and convert it into something that's not water anymore, which then will break your farm. Same thing on this side, where you can see we have 1 block above an air gap over here. And then underneath this, you're going to want to put your trapdoors. They don't have to be iron trapdoors. They can be wood. They can be anything else you're going to want that will block the flow of the water while not interfering with your character clicking. So you can stand underneath it and you can hold down click while you are going back and forth. And again, this can be as wide as you want. Can't go any deeper, but it can go as wide as you want. And once you've done that, you can already just come in and put the water on this side, as well as this side. And then your lava in above. I just made a source all the way across, but you can spread your lava differently. If you are low on lava, you can start a little higher and have it fall down and spread out, or you can more strategically place these to save on that lava. And already you are done. Now, as I said, there is some loss, and what I put here in the golden carrots will be one experiment that I will do live on camera. You can look at the description to jump around a bit if you don't want to see it. This is the maximum number of stone or cobblestone you can get based on one diamond unenchanted pickaxe. So let's go over here and grab a new one. Let's put this away, and let's also throw this on the ground to make sure that we don't cross-contaminate at all. And you can see roughly how fast this will work. Switch over to survival. Just a quick note about this obsidian block. Some people like to start with a run. This allows you to just start mining and then sweep over and keep going back and forth. Or you can just start and travel and back and forth. Now, when you're doing this, you do want to press forward to make sure you don't move far enough back that you're not getting that last one, that 4th block all the way at the end, and you don't fall off. So I am pressing forward and then left and right, as well as holding down to mine. You are going to also want to make sure that you build your full power beacon with your haste 2 in range so that you have the haste 2 effect for the entirety of this stone generator. Now you can slip a little bit out of the range and back as long as you're going back and forth fast enough. And as you see, we'll just continue to blast through the stone. I'll take a second here to show you what I meant about the issues with it backing up a little bit. But you just continue going back and forth to get all the stone you need. Now, there is going to be some loss, as I mentioned, because of the way that the item is destroyed, that being the stone, and converting into an item with the lava directly above it. If it jumps up before the hopper is able to absorb it, then it is burned in the lava. Let's take a pause here for a second. You can see that we're already starting to fill up the hoppers as we have the cobblestone coming in. I went out an extra block with those hoppers so that it won't interfere and won't have enough problems with the stone, as you can see on the inside, getting jammed up and filled up and not being able to absorb any of the stone. So this is going to catch all the stone that's in range of the hoppers, as opposed to getting stuck because the hoppers are filled and the water pushing it around and causing problems that way. So again, back and forth, not very exciting. I would recommend, if you're allowed to have an automatic cobblestone generator, and then you can smelt the stone if you need it to be stone as opposed to cobblestone. Much more exciting than walking back and forth like this, waiting for your pickaxe to get damaged enough to either go and repair it, swap it out, or just have it break in your hand to grab a new one. And as I also said, you can make this go as far across as you want. You don't have to make it the 10 wide that I did. But again, the wider it is you go, the more iron is going to cost you for those hoppers. And we're getting close to it breaking on us. And there it is. So now, let's help this out a little bit. I don't have any in my inventory, so there's no cross-contamination in that regard. And let's put all the stone back, and you can see that there's no more coming in here, and this is a lot less than the optimal. You will lose about a third to the lava. So that is, you will get about 2/3 of the amount that you should, based on how much the lava is destroying of the items. So it is fast, but it is not all of that efficient in terms of catching all of the items. Now there is a way around this, and that is over here. If you want to catch all of the items, then you can do a system like this using hopper mine carts. Now, you really don't want to go out this far with hopper mine carts because these are among the laggier things you're going to find in your game. I will show you how to make this, which is right here. So you want to make sure that you do block them in, because since there are 5 of them, even though there's 5 blocks, they don't like being contained into a 1-block space, and if you remove this trapdoor, this guy will pop out a little bit and ruin what you're making. So you put a solid block here, you put a trapdoor here. Again, this doesn't have to be a solid block, but just a little bit easier. You have to put them on a hopper line, which is going to be pointed into your chest, and you put them on the rails in order to place them down, and they will even themselves out when you have 5 on 5 blocks. Then you come in and you destroy the rails underneath. Make sure to destroy all of them. And then you come in with a gravity block and you let it fall onto them. And just keep going across. And then you can destroy these blocks up here, and that protects them from getting nudged out of the way, and that's especially important because there is going to be water directly over them, because that is how your stone is going to be generated. And when you do that, I've already done the test, you do get the full amount. You get 100% of the stone that you mine, and in this case, I just did one of the smaller setups where it's mirrored on either side, because if you're concerned about catching all of the items, then you really don't want to go that big, beyond the fact that it's a tremendous amount more iron. It's also just going to be very laggy in your world to have all of that. And you can see, I'm going to mine to demonstrate, but just if you want to check, this is the perfect amount based on what we were expecting if we had collected everything as indicated here by the golden carrots. So let's just show you that this does work on this side, and switching back into survival mode. And again, we can just blast through the stone. And if you want, you can go back and forth, and the hoppers should catch everything. There is, of course, a small chance that if you have a lag spike at just the wrong time, you may lose a couple of items, but this should really be collecting 100% if you've done it correctly. And in this setup, there's the hopper mine carts on both sides. So there's, even though you can sort of see them here, there is 10 total under there, 5 in each row. And you do the setup the same, and you set up this the same as our other example over here. The hoppers are just down one more, and I'm standing on the chest because it's still tall enough for your player to be able to reach. So if you want a manual cobblestone generator that's completely lossless, this is the setup you're going to want. If you just want fast stone and you're okay that you're going to lose about 1/3 of the items, then you want to have a setup that looks like this. Now, if you found that helpful, I would appreciate a like, and for more videos like this, be sure to subscribe. Thanks for stopping by.